So this next section that we're going to work on is time aligning. And I just feel that time aligning works better if it's done before pitch correction, because we don't have to worry about any pitching artifacts afterwards if we do the time alignment first. So what I want to do is let's take a pretty dense section of the song. So we're going to take the chorus here, and we're just going to listen to the lead vocal against the whip, and we're going to make sure that it is in time. Because what we're going to do is we're going to reference this first take when we are time aligning the other 7. So we need to make sure that at least one of them is perfect. So here we go. Let's go ahead and bring it up a little bit. Yeah, sounds pretty good. I think there was one thing in here I wanted to move a little bit. Yeah, I feel like her everything was just a little bit early. So what we can do is we can double click this, and this will bring us into our wave editor that is built into Cubase. So over here we've got audio warp, vari audio, hit points, and we're going to use audio warp and vari audio at great length for vocal editing. So let's go ahead and go to audio warp. We are going to do free warp. And so now what we can do is we can place markers so that we can freely warp the audio back and forth. So we need to look for that section. So right there, that everything. So we're going to create a couple of warp markers right here. We're going to create them on either side. And we're just going to move this in ever so slightly. So now I feel like that everything is a little bit off, but I kind of don't want to warp it. I kind of want to just move it on the timeline. So we're going to flatten this, which renders this as a clip. And then let's get out of this. Command W to exit the window. And we're going to see if this works. So I'm going to hit 3 to bring up my scissors. I'm going to uncheck quantization. And we're just going to move this a little bit. Now what's really cool about Cubase is I can move where audio lives inside that region if I hit Option and Command on a Mac. So I'll hit that on my keyboard and then just move this over a little bit. And that's great. Now we do need to make sure that any audio that is repeated is omitted. If we don't have audio edited out that is repeating, we're going to hear flamming, kind of like a flam on a drum, like that. You hear one and then you hear another immediately after. It's a little distracting. And so cleaning that up is a great way to bring more quality to the edit. So let's listen to that again. Yeah, that feels really good. Awesome. So now I'm just going to bounce this whole thing. And I'm going to make sure all my fades are in place. And I'm just going to bounce the selection right in place. And what that's going to do is just going to print all this together. It's going to make my time alignment a lot easier. Great. So this feels really good. I think that this is a solid first performance. So let's go ahead and open up our audio alignment panel. And this is the easiest interface I've ever seen with time aligning vocals. It's got a reference that you would add here, and we're just going to use what we just edited, and then you get to apply it to your targets, which is what you want to conform to your reference. So we're going to add those here, and as you can see, it's got all 7 tracks in there. There's some settings in here. We do want to match words, and this is going to be great for anything that we have doubles or triples or maybe even different harmonies, which is what we have here. And then this prefer time shifting, play around with this because you might find that one setting works better than others. One of them uses the audio warp function within your audio editor, and the other one just moves things around on the timeline. So we're going to try it with prefer time shifting, and we're just going to click align audio, and it's going to do all the calculations and the algorithms in the background, and then what we're left with is 8 pieces of audio that have been time aligned. So let's go ahead and listen to that, and I'm going to turn off the instrumental just so we can really focus on the vocals and what they're doing.
Oh, everything will be so. Oh, everything will be. Oh, everything will be so bright.
So for the most part, this did a really, really good job. There were 2 sections that I heard where we need to get in and actually do some manual work, which was the first 2 O's. So let's go ahead, and we can even get rid of the audio alignment panel, and we can see on the timeline where things are a little shifty. So this chorus BG4 is a little bit early, and since we're just working with an O, we can just move this a little bit. Feels really good. I'm going to crossfade these 2 sections by hitting F, and that has a fade on it now. Make sure that has a fade at the beginning. And let's listen to this one. This one looks a little bit wonkier. So I think chorus BG3 may have something going on with it. I'm going to enable the metronome to make sure that it is in time, and we're just going to solo chorus BG3. Okay, so it kind of lines up as time goes on. So I think what we need to do is jump into our audio warp, and we can see that some work has already been done. So we're going to take our free warp, and we're just going to move this back a little bit. Let's put another marker right there so we're not disturbing the word before it, and let's just move this back. See what that sounds like.
Everything will be.
That feels really good. Let's go ahead and listen to it against the rest of the track. And we're going to make sure that the instrumental is off.
Oh, everything will be. Oh, everything will be so bright.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. Now here at the end, we've got a couple words that are longer than some of the others. So we want to make sure that they all end kind of at the same point. So we're going to pick the shortest one, and we're going to conform everything kind of to that. So I think this lead vocal 2 kind of has the shortest decay. So we are just going to make some cuts and just start moving some of this stuff. Now, when we do this, we have a little bit of a region here that has little crisscrosses in it. And what that means is we have 2 tracks that are overlapped, and Cubase is going to play whatever is on top. So we don't want to do that. We want to kind of edit some space out. So we're going to do that, and we're just going to kind of line them up so that the end of the word kind of happens right at 47. You can eyeball this, and that should be a really good way to make that happen. Now, you can also stretch if you want, which now that I'm thinking about it might be a better way to do this, and that's okay. Some of this vocal editing process is about finding what works for the song that is currently in front of you. And a technique that you may use for one song may not work for another. We're going to listen to this and see if it works. I'm crossfading all these so that they all work kind of together. So let's solo these sections. Pretty close. We got some stragglers in there. I think lead vocal 1 is doing some weird stuff because we cut out so dang much. So let's go ahead and Move this all the way out. And we're going to go ahead and jump back into our warp here. And let's set up a couple points. And again, we want it to kind of end right at 47. So see what happens when we do this. Now, something else I just realized is the T in the word bright is way over here. So we want to include that as well. Okay, let's see what happens here. All right, let's listen really fast. And you can listen to what's in your audio editor if you go up here and hit solo editor. So it's going to solo whatever's in here. Okay, so we heard a little bit of a click in there. And sometimes it just means moving it a little bit until the time stretching is no longer creating errors and artifacts. But this sounds really good. So let's go ahead and process that. We're going to flatten it. And then we're going to jump back into our song here. Let's listen to it one more time and make sure we dig it.
Bright.
That feels really good to me. Cool. So that is time alignment in a nutshell. And at this point, you can go ahead and flatten everything, or you can jump right into pitch correction. I like to leave my time alignment unprocessed, unflattened, just in case I have something else that I want to do. But we're going to jump into pitch correction in the next video. So we'll see you there.